What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the 1985 NBA Draft Lottery Conspiracy. Patrick Ewing ended up spending 15 years with the Knicks, had an amazing career, one of the GOATs for that franchise, as we all know. A lesser known fact is that he actually played his last 2 seasons with the Supersonics and the Magic to finish his career, which is neither here nor there. At that time, the league was dominated by big men. It was pretty evident if you look at the 1984 draft from the year before, when Hakeem Olajuwon went number 1 to the Rockets. Just 1 year later, it was time for another big man to go number 1. Back at Georgetown, Pat Ewing averaged 15 points on 62% shooting, 9 rebounds, and 3.5 blocks a game, and he led the Hoyas to a national championship in 1984. David Stern was the NBA's commissioner at the time. Owners started to get sick of teams tanking for the top pick, so they decided to change the format. The 7 teams that didn't make the playoffs had an equal chance of the number 1 pick. Now, this conspiracy revolves around the fact that the league wanted the Knicks to establish themselves. They're a big market team. They wanted to boost the overall popularity of the NBA. There were rumblings before the draft that the Knicks would get the number 1 pick, but nobody really knew until they knew. Stan Kasten, then GM of the Hawks, recalls attending a college tournament in Hawaii a few months before the lottery. He said, and I quote, "I was sitting with a couple of NBA guys, and I remember one high-ranking team executive, who I will not name, was 1,000,000% convinced of what was going to happen. He's going to the Knicks, he's going to the Knicks," he kept saying. "It's all arranged." I didn't believe him at the time. Alright, now, obviously this is all hearsay, which is what makes it a conspiracy, but it's also what gives the conspiracy any validity. At that time, one large envelope for each team in the lottery was placed in a large, transparent plastic ball and shuffled up before David Stern picked them out. As the conspiracy theory goes, the Knicks envelope was either purposefully given a creased corner while it was being tossed in the ball, or it was quote-unquote frozen to make it easier for Stern to choose. Or maybe it was both. One report in a New York tabloid suggested that Ernst & Whinney, the accounting firm that was involved with the lottery, played a big role in the rigging. Ernst & Whinney just happened to also be the auditing firm for Gulf and Western, which just happened to own the, you guessed it, the New York Knicks. Now, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but, I guess I am a conspiracy theorist. Anyway, when asked about the possibility of a fix, Madison Square Garden president Jack Crump responded, and I quote, "Hey, I told them how to fix it 60 days ago. You call up Ernst & Whinney and you say, if we don't get Ewing, you're fired." It was an Ernst & Whinney employee who actually put the envelopes in the ball, and some believe that the person really did make sure the corner of that Knicks envelope was creased when it was put in. That employee stated, and I once again quote, "If people want to say that the lottery was fixed, fine. As long as they spell our name right, that means they're interested in us. That's terrific." Now, I'm sure a bunch of y'all watched the Last Dance documentary, and this quote is eerily similar to what David Stern said in response to questions about Michael Jordan's alleged retirement/suspension. That's a whole nother conspiracy that we're not going to dive into in this video, but just something interesting to think about. Are those the thoughts of a guilty conscience? I don't know. You tell me. In the end, nothing was actually proven, and this is still nothing more than a conspiracy to this very day. Some might even say that this is the biggest conspiracy theory in NBA history, perhaps alongside David Stern's secret suspension that I just mentioned of Michael Jordan for gambling. This whole lottery fiasco actually prompted the league to change the format of the lottery. Ping pong balls were introduced shortly after, and that's been the norm ever since. Whether or not there was a direct correlation between the conspiracy theory and the league's decision to reformat the lottery is unfortunately not something that we'll ever be able to determine conclusively. The Knicks certainly weren't complaining about any of this, and they enjoyed the Hall of Fame services of Patrick Ewing for a long time, even if they never got a title out of it. Michael Jordan was drafted the year before in 1984, but if he had gone just 1 year later, who knows what could have happened. We could have possibly seen the GOAT in a Knicks jersey, imagine that. Although Pat Ewing may have still been the consensus number 1 pick. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the League Alerts channel and follow League Alerts on Instagram and Twitter for the best NBA coverage out there.